Hi, I'm Russ, sailing vessel Tautog. Current location is Nassau, Bahamas, about 200 meters from the cruise ship piers and about 500 meters from the big Atlantis resort. Right in the heart of it all. So let's take a quick look with my video notes from getting from Chub Cay over to Bahamas. Not a big trip, but another good one, so I enjoy it and I'm happy to share with you. I'm going to make my log entry for December 12, 0000. And it's going to say underway for Nassau. Very light wind, very light wind. It's going to be motor for now, and that's really part of the plan. I would rather get across this while the water is pretty flat. I guess I've turned into quite a sissy since I started, where I would just charge into the Gulf Stream of the Yucatan and stuff like that, like I've done, and I end up with awful seas. But today I'm hoping for just that the forecast will more or less be the same. I mean, it looks like now what it had been forecast for. That is very light winds, 5 knots out of the north, maybe a little bit northwest. No, that's what the prediction said. And the winds should get a little better during the morning to be up to around 10 knots by noon. So, but by noon I should be there. You know, it's only 30 miles and 5 motors. Okay, so this is just like my Navy days. You know, and this is what it's like. You're on a ship at night. Everything is red light, and I've got a power engine operating the boat. The only flip side is that I have to do everything myself. So. In this case, I'm watching a contact on my AIS, and I'm also MMSI. I love this boat. CPA is going to be 4 miles out in 10 minutes. He's going approximately on a converging course. I'm sure we're both headed to Nassau. Yeah. Pleasure craft underway, using engine, same as me. So we'll keep an eye on him. I mean, so in 10 minutes, the CPA is going to be in 10 minutes. So the best thing I can do is maintain the most steady course I can. Which means hand steering, which means I got to get back out there. But that's just part of the deal. I'm happy that I'm awake and refreshed, and I'm able to kind of keep a good lookout. And I've got the helm pretty balanced, so I'm drifting a little bit here and there, but not badly. Okay, so that little slow-moving collision avoidance is over. That boat has moved ahead of me a little bit. And all I can see now is his stern light, so that means he's ahead of me. So theoretically we're crossing paths, but we're really going to cross right at the Nassau entrance. And basically it's not an overtaking situation, it's a crossing situation, which means I am the burdened vessel, meaning I have to maneuver to avoid him should a collision become, close. But our CPA was over 4 miles, so nobody maneuvered in any way. And now that one's behind me, so I'm gonna flush him from my memory and keep a sharp lookout for other guys. Okay, so it's gotten quieter, which is always better for me. I don't like running the engine non-stop, but I had the engine going for a little over 3 hours. And close the distance to only 14 miles away from Nassau. And I've been looking at the lights of Nassau, the glow over the horizon for the last hour. I see some large vessel, I think, in between me and Nassau. I can't make out what it is. It looks like a mega yacht or a cruise ship type thing, but it's not moving. So I don't know quite what I'm looking at there. Hard to get a look, with the binoculars sometimes. And I think there's a power boat behind me, but he's going very slowly, so I don't understand. Maybe it's a sailboat, but he's got his steaming lights on. I don't know. But all in all, not bad, and I'm content as can be to just sit here at 2.5 knots, slowly close Nassau. So I figured about 4 hours I should be about 6-7 miles away, and at that point maybe I'll turn the engine back on if it's light. I don't want to enter the harbor in the dark. I don't want to enter the harbor with the sun in my eyes. So it'd be better for me to not enter till 9 o'clock anyhow. Empty harbor at night is already stressy enough. When I pulled into West End, I mean, there's only 4 boats there in our anchorage, and yet that's confusing enough when they're backlit by the lights of the city or the street lights, and you've never been there before. You're not quite sure what you're looking at. You know, it didn't, back then I didn't realize until just at the very end that, oh my God, these are anchored boats. You know, I thought one of them was a Navade that entire time. I don't want to be doing that in Nassau, because there's going to be a lot of lights on shore, going to make it very hard to see the navigation buoy and marker lights. It may make it very hard to pick out any boats that might be at anchor. So there's a lot of reasons why I don't do that at night. So going to motor off and driving with the sails only, part of it is because I don't like running the engine, partly because I have an oil leak, partly because the shaft seal is leaking a little too much water and I'm afraid of that housekeeping mess. It's true. And I like to sail and I like things quiet, but mostly because it kind of slows the problem down. I've eliminated a lot of my exposure by chugging across the main portion of the trip already and having it behind me. I've gone from 35 miles down to 14 miles to go. And even if I drop to 2 knots, that's still 7 hours, so that'll put me right around 10 o'clock, you know, if I, you know, drop to 2 knots. So it was 2.5 knots the last time I looked, and it really doesn't matter at this point. I'm just going to do the best I can with the sailing solution until it's daylight, and then we'll just make another decision then. Okay, so it's just past 6 o'clock in the morning. This is a view of what the Nassau Harbor looks like. You enter up here in the Northwest Passage, get inside the harbor itself. You could anchor here at the green dot, but I'm not going to. I've been warned against that as it has bad holding. These are the cruise ship piers. I'll show you a cruise ship heading in. I'm going to go past the cruise ship piers and aim for this spot, because I know the winds are going to come strong out of the east in another day or two. So I'm going to kind of tuck in there, kind of get in behind that marina. That's spot number 1, or I would go into here on the back side of this one. I'm not sure which one has a dinghy dock. That's really the question, and I just don't know the answer. But I figured I'll do some asking around. The marina I'm going to stay at, but that's another week away, is this one here. I think that's where my marina is going to be. So that's that. Now let's go take a look. It's going to take a picture, but it'll all become much more clear when I get my sunrise. You can see the sun starting to lighten up the sky. Yeah, so it's hard to see. I mean, I can see great out here, but I know the cameras don't dig this. So I'm sitting at the wheel now. And I don't know. I really just don't know what you can see. You know, I really just don't know how good these cameras can be. This is the GoPro I'm using. I see some tall buildings at the eastern end of the island. And going over here, I see the 3 red lights. That's the first things I've been watching all night long. Those 3 reds flashing back there. That's the west end of the island, it looks like. And dead in front of me appears to be that big resort. It's an enormous building, and it was lit up like a Christmas tree, and I saw that from like 20 miles out as well. It's amazing. I mean, that thing was so bright I thought it was a ship. I didn't know what the hell it was. So I really, and I still don't know. Hell, I don't know. So you look at my sail, you see it flopping around, you think, oh, that's not very standard. So the main sail is doing my driving, okay? The wind is coming from almost dead astern. And the hydrovane has got me steering, you know, kind of right and left, right and left. In general, I have the main set up to just to draw as much power as it can, making about 2.5, 3 knots. But when I kind of move off to port, and my course wobbles to port this way, then the head sail fills up, and that prevents me from overturning, because once I turn to port, then the mainsail becomes much more powerful, and then the weather helm is too strong for Agatha. So what I've done is have the head sail set up to be useless most of the time until I'm on the very left edge of my wobble, and then she'll provide some power to help balance the helm only at that point, and the rest of the time the head sail is useless. So yeah, I feel pretty good. I mean, it kind of went like clockwork. I left it right around midnight from Bird Cay, and that was the plan. I'm pre-positioned there from Chub Cay yesterday. That was about 2.5 hours. Easy, delightful sail, actually. Just perfect, beautiful water and all that. So I like Bird Cay. That was the place I'd like to go, maybe go back on my way out someday. I would certainly go back to Bird Cay. Okay, almost sunrise. Almost sunrise. It's a beautiful day. I gotta admit, it's been some pretty beautiful weather down here. I know up north, those cold fronts are whipping on people, but the main reason I wanted to get to Nassau and the Exumas to get away from those cold fronts hitting me every 4 days. So we sometimes get effects of them, but not the frigid cold. So we'll get the winds. So this huge resort complex over there, I don't know if that's the Paradise Atlantis thing, and if that means that that's Nassau itself, or my target, or am I heading further out to where those condos or those big buildings are further that way? And I just don't know. That's why it's good to have a chart plotter, so. Or if you had paper charts and you have accurate charts, and which I do, you keep going until you get there, and then you'll look around and say, ah. So I'm actually breaking off my approach, and I'm going this way until I'm directly north of the channel entrance, and then I'll turn like this and I'll be able to actually see what the hell I'm doing. I mean, it is murderous on the ice. And it doesn't help that there's a dredging rig up there who keeps moving around, and his rig is so funky looking that it's very easy to mistake it for a pile of rocks or for a navigational aid or something. I've been looking at that dredging rig for an hour or more, trying to figure out what the hell. Hang on a second. So, I mean, it's been a pretty good trip, no complaints at all. And I timed it so that I got here in the morning, and I actually got here about an hour too early. In another hour, this glare would be a lot better. When you see me swapping glasses, because these are the polarized lenses, so it's easier to see on the water, but when you look at your depth sounder or the chart plotter, you can't see anything with these glasses on, so I have to toggle to my others, or just go without. So it's welcome to Nassau. Oh my God. Welcome to Nassau. My harbor entrance is right in there somewhere. Pretty bouncy, and that's to be expected, and I'm just grateful that I picked a day when it's almost dead calm last night, because this swell is coming from the north because there's a north wind, and it was blowing yesterday about 10 to 15, and this is probably leftover swell. So where the bottom of the ocean is coming up from 3,000 feet deep to zero right over there, and it makes the energy of the water has to be displaced, it has to go somewhere, and it does that in the form of big swells. So I'm still struggling to even see my damn entrance, although I saw a sailboat come out, so I know it's survivable, and I just have to punch through this swell, and over there is my entrance. I can see it now. I can see rocks and a light on top. I can't tell if there's a gap between it and the mainland. Just can't tell yet. Entering Nassau. Look at these rollers coming across. Holy shit. Oh, that is not good. I'm going to start rolling. Turn your ass to the blast. Okay, that was no fun. Holy shit. And this is why you stow your cabin for sea. Oh my god. This big blue cruise ship was the one that was entering port about 4 hours before me. I saw her coming from the north, probably from Great Stirrup Cay. I'm not really sure exactly, but you know they're going to or from Nassau. At the moment, there are 5 cruise ships in port, and I anchored just beyond this ship that you're looking at here, off to the right, and that's where the anchor field is. So, welcome to Nassau. Hey, so thank you for watching. I appreciate your comments, and I look forward to reading them. So I'm going to stay here in Nassau through the holidays, and that's at least 2 weeks. I think it's the 15th today. I'm not really sure, but I'm not going to go anywhere with the boat for at least 2 weeks. I need some rest, and I'm going to be in a marina this whole time. I'm an anchor at the moment, but I'll be in a marina tomorrow, and I need that because in marinas I sleep better. I don't worry about stuff. I'm not going to be getting waked, and frankly, it's a much better quality of life. Frankly, you know, exercise better, eat better, all that stuff. Drink less, all that stuff will be better in a marina, and that's why you pay for marina fees to make things better. And where I go after that, I just don't know. There's a lot of things brewing in my personal life, and I'm not quite sure what direction that's going to go yet. So, but in the meantime, we're always going to be on this boat, and I always will be there for you. So, I look forward to your comments and any suggestions on what to do next. So, thank you. Take care.